Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. This is video or episode 2 regarding regarding the issue that I had with the gauge cluster, the short or the ground issue. I put a link in the description below on part 1, the video part 1, so you know what exactly I'm talking about and how I fixed the issue. Just a quick recap. The issue I had was, for some strange reason, my gauge cluster died, meaning none of the gauges in here worked, and the lights didn't turn on. Every time I would put a key in the ignition when I turn the car, nothing would work. The speedometer, tachometer, temperature, nothing. It was just all dead. And at the same time, I would get engine check light, I would get a seatbelt light on, and I believe there was a parking light or the brake light was on as well. Again, if you look at my video, the first episode, I explain exactly and I show exactly what the issue was. Luckily, it had nothing to do with ground or wiring. I had taken basically everything in the front dash, checked all the wires. I took the entire gauge cluster out. I took the entire front stereo, the lights in here, and as you can see, if you watch the video, the issue was every time I would reset the system. By system, I mean the battery on the car or even the gauge cluster itself. From the back of the gauge cluster, there's a harness, there's a connection. Every time I would reset the system or reset the car, everything would go back to normal. Everything would start work. And the problem or the trick was, or not the trick, but the cause of the issue would start as soon as I would open the door. And I would, once I would open the door and close it, and as you can see, these lights kind of dim down after 15 seconds, it would kill the gauge cluster in the car. Everybody, told me that it's a short, it's a ground issue. I took it to the dealer. Dealer wanted to charge me close to $2,000 without giving me any information, without giving me any time frame as when they're gonna even fix it, with spending 10-12 hours on the car trying to figure this issue out. And they were charging me, they give me an estimate for $200 an hour, and if they couldn't fix it after $2,000, they would ask for my permission to continue and to rip me off. So I kind of started troubleshooting, and the last piece, or the last thing I did after making sure all my grounds are good, all my wires are good, because I took everything out from under the driver's seat panel. I checked all the fuses, even the passenger side, the glove box, the covers, made sure all the fuses are good on that side, all the wires are connected, no issues. I took the door panels out. I checked all the wires. I checked the ECU units inside the door panel that controls the windows and the lock system. I spent hours and hours and weeks trying to troubleshoot this issue. Long story short, all I did was I went on eBay and I purchased a used gauge cluster for SC430. Of course, all the models from 2002 to 2010 are pretty much the same. They're identical. So I bought another gauge cluster, and today I installed it, and the issue got resolved. Apparently, there was a short or some kind of issue with the gauge cluster, with the old one, that would interfere with the lights inside the cabin. As soon as I would turn off or close the door and the lights would go off, it would shut down the gauge cluster. So right now. As you can see, I replaced the gauge cluster. Part 1, video part 1, I show in details how I took the gauge cluster out. It's a little bit tricky, but it's not too difficult. It's very easy. So if you ever have any issues with your gauge cluster, with the gauges, with the lights, just that pretty much that's what the issue is. It has nothing to do with ground. As Lexus dealer, Lexus Tech told me, it's a ground issue. I have bad wires, a bunch of nonsense without even looking at the car, without even looking at the what the issue is. I used the voltmeter. I measured the alternator voltage, the battery, the wires. I checked the grounds. Like I said, the issue was the actual gauge cluster itself. I spent $130. I got a used one from eBay, replaced it, and everything is back to normal. No issues so far. Everything's working. Hopefully this video will help somebody else, just in case if you are experiencing issues with your gauge cluster within your SC430. Again, if you like these videos, like and subscribe. Let me know how you want these issues to get resolved. If you have other issues with your car, keep me posted. Send me your questions and feedback and comment, and hopefully we can get your issues resolved on your cars. Hope you like this video. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.